Yeah. Okay, cool. So welcome everyone. Thanks so much for coming. And yeah, we'll get going here. Um, oops, sorry. Just as we go along, feel free to put any questions. We don't have to wait for the Q&A. So if you have a question as we go, please put it in the chat window or on mic and just speak up or raise your hand, of course. I'll do my best to see the chat, but if I miss you, please remind me later, because sometimes, I'm very much in the moment and, going through the presentation, but I do want to get to all your questions, whatever you have. And it's great to see now that I'm seeing more people come in, some familiar initials and some new initials. So thank you to everyone who's coming back to the sessions from previous sessions, and newcomers as well. Welcome. It's awesome to see you here today. So yeah, let's go into our first slide here, tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm here. This is my third Leland event, so I'm very excited. My first Leland event was AI and using it for your essays, not for writing them, but for idea generation and some help along the way. And the next event will be for AI and interview practice. So this is kind of right in the middle now, the sweet spot, hopefully, and I hope you guys can get a lot out of this. For me, I've been a professional coach for over 8 years. I've gotten great success because my clients work so hard, and I work so hard to get to know them, that we've gotten 100% of our clients, our full-time clients, into a top 30 program and 95% into one of their top 3 choices. I've lived abroad. I'm in Albania now, if you didn't hear when we first started, and I've lived abroad earlier for 4 years. I went back to the States for a while, now since 2010. So yeah, I love learning about new cultures and meeting new people and learning about all different areas and ways to look at the world and kind of expand my own worldview that way. So yeah, I think that's it for about me. Let's go on and take a quick look at our agenda. Oh, and also, if you want to get any information from me for this, like for any of our prompts or anything like that, please go ahead. I'll put my link in here and just message me on Leland, and I'll send you a copy of anything you need from this, like the strong prompts and things like that. And yeah, like just put in the window if anyone wants to put it on your camera. It's great to see some friendly faces. Okay, so for our agenda today, of course, we want to focus on using AI very ethically and effectively, and we don't want to cross any boundaries. And for me, obviously, you want to look at specific school parameters and what they accept and don't accept for AI usage. But for me, if you're willing to show what you've done in AI to the people that are interested, then you're probably using it honestly. You want to show that it's your assistant, it's not the boss, and you're doing the work. You're just using it to help you along the way. Let's see. So yeah, if you want to sign up for the next event, you can check it out here, of course, at Leland with all their great events they have. They're really good for helping out guys without all these free events and for connecting us with all of you through that way. And then for our 3 main research, obviously there's lots and lots and lots, as you guys know, to research once you dig into the MBA process. But for the 3 main areas we're going to look at today is career alignment. So basically picking your schools, program and culture after you've picked your schools, and then your networking. So that's what we're going to focus on right now. We're going to go through and look at some strong versus weak prompts and best practices, and of course more questions at the end if you don't get them answered along the way. And again, I just want to really emphasize that authenticity in all aspects of your MBA applications is extremely important. So just make sure that it's your voice coming through and you never let AI take over that. Also the examples I'm going to show you today are strong foundations from the strong prompts, but they're not the end all. You just have to keep working on them. So you have to work on the prompts, make it your own. And then when you start getting feedback from AI, you have to work with it too, to make sure you get where you want. You can't just get one answer and then go with that and follow a through link. So we're going to go through it, but yeah, you have to dig a bit. Okay, cool. And so let's go on and look at the overview of what people are thinking in the community. So this Kaplan survey of 300 MBA applicants, I think in May, a few months ago, said that, over a majority of you want to use AI, but a lot of people are trepidatious about it. And that's why I'm doing these programs, to kind of help us all suss out the right way to implement it into the applications. And so just make sure that you're staying honest and true to what your program wants and what you feel good about, and just emphasize yourself throughout it. Of course, in the chat, anyone, if you want to join in, I don't know how many people now are using AI currently in their MBA application. You can just put a little thumbs up or something. Is there anyone there that's using it as an assistant or kind of a helper? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. We got an early question here. Let me read and see where we're at. Thank you for the thumbs up. You've mentioned being the master of AI, making sure your voice shines through. Do you think programs judge you using AI positively or negatively? For instance, Harvard's app asks if you use it. That's a great question, Dominique, and we're all still talking to the administration about that, and we're all still researching that. I think if you're using it honestly, and like I said, if you're willing to reveal exactly how you used it, then I think you can feel good and confident about it. Every programs know. I mean, programs, Wharton has a major in AI now. You know, Darden has a new AI concentration. It is part of the system, and they are teaching it and they're promoting it within their MBA programs. So AI is a part of the world, and they accept that. But they just want to make sure that you are going to use it in the way you should be. And like you're saying, making sure your voice shines through. Yeah, just keep that in mind. You are the boss is an assistant, is not a partner. It is not like, it's not in help. It's just a little in the corner voice to kind of check your work, make sure you're on the right track, help you with some brainstorming, do light editing, no writing. So yeah, good question. Thank you very much for asking. So yeah, I think we can go on now to effective use of AI. So a lot of people, anyone want to put in the chat what tools they're using? The people that gave me the thumbs up, are you using GPT, Perplexity? Are you using Claude? Kind of, I mean, everyone talks about GPT, but there's a lot of platforms out there and they all offer something a little bit different. And also I see from Mary here, another comment. I think what you mentioned up top, knowing AI well and understand when it's taking over your voice is super important. Yeah, thank you for reinforcing that 100%. Okay, cool. Yeah. Thank you for adding that, Mary. And, you know, a lot of people are using chat basically as Google. And, you know, I use it that way when I need to find something to, oh, cool, GPT. To help me, you know, help with my plants. I have a big garden. If I need to find something to organically get rid of some pests, yeah, I use GPT kind of as Google. But let's not do that here. Let's go way beyond that and dig in a little bit more. And how you can do that is you can ask it to analyze the information it's finding. You can ask it to summarize the information. Of course, always check. And then when you've given it information about yourself, it can contextualize the data specifically for you. So of course, Google has their AI arm that they're using now, but using a platform, and I would say preferably two. Currently, I use three very consistently. So I use GPT, Perplexity, and Claude. There's a lot of great platforms out there. I'm not promoting them. I'm just saying find the ones that are comfortable for you, and at least use two just to go back and forth and checking and make sure you're getting different voices and different perspectives. And they all have kind of different strengths and weaknesses. Notebook and Perplexity and ChatGPT. Okay, cool. That's awesome. And of course, always ask for links because it still hallucinates, it's still biased, and it still gives generic phrasing. So make sure you check everything. And watch out for your hallucinations. And of course, never input sensitive or confidential information. I mean, you want to make sure when you're using it, especially for anything with your MBA, you know, get your thread or your session or your chat, whatever your platform calls it, and input as much data as possible about yourself. Of course, it's normal to put your resume, you know, some of your professional achievements, but also make sure that you're really clear about a description of who you are, your values, your goals. You know, you really want to get it to know you because that's how you're matching with the school. You don't want it just to look at your resume and be like, oh, they had these three positions and that goes with this school. You want it to have a very wide perspective of who you are now and who you want to be in the future. And the more data you give it, the better it can serve you as we go along here. So I highly, highly recommend giving it as much as you can. Okay, cool. Okay, so for our first slide here, we're going to look at, this is the same, we have kind of three candidates who are loosely based on my past clients, but stripped anything that's confidential. So Sarah was a product manager at a health tech startup, and now we're looking to find kind of her 5 top school choices and what kind of prompts can you use. And so we're going to zoom in here as we go through and look more closely, but this is just to give the overview. So as you can see here, a weak prompt is just given the information I've supplied, suggest a list of 5 best MBA programs for me. You're going to get an answer, but it's going to be kind of generic and short. The strong prompt, it's really good to give it a role. So for all 3 prompts, I'm giving the role as it's acting as an MBA expert admissions consultant. And you're asking to have deep knowledge of top business schools. And then you have a nice checklist here you can see in the strong prompt where I don't know if we should have to do this. I think maybe AI should do it for us, but it's not. So give it a checklist, very, very specific of what you want for it. So you want to know specific detailed rationale of why it's a strong fit for you personally, that school, not generally why Harvard or Wharton is great. And then you want a link to all the reasons it gives you, all the rationale. Okay, so then send me a link to why that program's right for me, why that club, why that student activity, why that learning experience. And then we also ask it to make sure that the details are based on most current and verifiable information. Also, very important, number 5, ask it to ask you questions, because you gave it a lot of information, but it could still have questions about, maybe you didn't put what class size you're looking for, maybe you didn't put what part of the country you want to live in or part of the world you want to live in. So make sure you give it the opportunity and ask it to ask you questions. And then at the end, give it a goal. You want some actionable results, so it knows that this is what we're heading towards. So then let's look at the responses to the week prompt first. And so, like I said, we're going to zoom in a little bit more after this, but here you can see that for the week prompt response, we have, I think, 8 links in total. So even without asking, it does give you links. And this is the total of the information. You can see there's 5 schools listed, and there's, I'm going to guess, about 75 words about each school. And as you'll see as we zoom in here closer, it's not very specific. So let's look at the zoom in on the Harvard slide, and you can see why it fits. So yes, HBS has a healthcare initiative, and that's great, but it doesn't link anything specifically to Sarah's background or where she wants to go or where she's been. So it's a very broad statement that anyone can find in your 2-second search on Google. And then for your unique values, it's just talking about the extensive healthcare ecosystem and joint degree options, but again, it's not personalizing it to this candidate. And that's where, if you ask the right prompt and if you give it the right information, it can really be very specific and helpful to you. So now let's look at a strong prompt response. And now you can see here, there's just a lot more information. So I think there are 12 links in total when we asked for the links, and there are 2 entire slides, and I still couldn't fit the entire response here. Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot to say in the prompt, sometimes AI does limit how much information it wants to give you. So if you just ask it for like top 3 or top 5 school choices, it might stop after 1,000 words or so, depending on what platform you're using. So at the end of the first prompt, if you write something like, let's go one at a time, and then, okay, now give me the information on the first school, second school. So for brevity here, I did not do that today. Otherwise, we'd be totally overwhelmed by information. But it is, in your personal practice, a really good way to go about it. So it will use all the words it wants to for each school and give you a lot of information. But you'll see here, even without that, there's a good amount of information here. And it's quite relevant and a lot more specific than the last prompt. So let's zoom in on this slide here, where it also had a really helpful table, but it lost the formatting when I brought it over to PowerPoint. So it also gave you a lot of specific information, and then it also gave you a lot of links, and the table was great because it gives a nice comparison of the different programs for you. And so you can see now here with Harvard, it's not really deep diving yet. So I'm saying this is just a start. Obviously, you can't decide if Harvard is for you or not on this little clip. But as you can see here, unlike in the week prompt response, they did give 3 links to professors that they think would be in the same avenue as Sarah. And they gave links to specific healthcare initiatives. And they gave a better description, or it gave a better description at the beginning of why Harvard would work for this candidate. And so, yeah, I definitely, and it asked follow-up questions at the end too. It asked the candidate to please specify what class sizes they wanted, where in the country they wanted to be, was experiential learning important to them, and whether the candidate was interested in case studies or not. So it asked some really good follow-up questions. And that's a good prompt too, because as it asks you questions and you answer those questions, ask it to realign and reassess the information it's giving you. And it might change its mind and decide to bump what was school 4 up to school 2 or school 1. And it will keep readjusting, and you can make it do a lot of that hard work of organizing for you, although you still want to output everything into whatever's comfortable for you, for keeping some parameters. Okay, so I'm looking at a question here, yes, in Perplexity, information from Mary that Perplexity gives more accurate links, but sometimes makes links up. Yep, they all make links up. So yeah, you have to click through on everything. And it's a good you bring up that point now too, Mary, because even if it wasn't, you'll have to sometimes search and get the link fresh yourself, because it just will be incorrect. And it's getting better all the time. I mean, when I started using it, it was 50% of links were wrong. Now I would say 90 to 95% are generally correct in my experience. But yes, you must check them all. And you should be clicking through anyway, and then doing that deep dive yourself and really going down into that rabbit hole and figuring out what works for you and what works, what doesn't. And the question there from how do we stop the information overwhelm? It does. It gives a lot of information. And like that's what happened with the slide you just saw. So you have to really be specific for yourself and for it of what your top priorities are. And it's just like deciding on Netflix, when there's a wealth of movies to watch. I mean, it's so overwhelming, but you put your filters on and you get recommendations and you kind of like slowly narrow and focus in. And so I think that's part of the getting to know your platform, and how you're using it kind of thing, because it will never stop. It will never end if you keep asking it for information. So you have to put on the accelerator, and the brake pedal are in your control. And yeah, thank you for the buffet menu. You're right about that. How do you use Perplexity? 1 second, let me make sure I answered everything before I go on to the next. Okay, and the next question, how do you use Perplexity in Claude and GPT? Okay, so I am not an MBA candidate, so I am not going to use it in the same way as you guys do. But I did use it, for instance, for, I had my outline, I had what I want to do for all my presentations here, but then I double check with it and I upload all my docs and I say, like, am I missing anything? Like, I think I've got it covered, but maybe I missed a key point that I should be talking about in AI. And it's pretty good at being self-critical and analytical and making sure that we're all playing by the rules. And yeah, I use in my own personal life, I do use all three for just a lot of research and a lot of fact checking, like from not fact checking so much, but like, where can I go from here? I think I've exhausted this avenue, but maybe I've missed something, and it can help a lot with that. And then obviously for brainstorming, for helping you come up with new and fresh ideas. So yeah, anything on the creative side, it can do a pretty good job as long as you're giving it a good prompt and you're keeping it focused. So good questions. Thank you very much. Yeah, and keep speaking up if I didn't answer that to your, if I didn't answer that the way you wanted. If I missed something, please let me know, of course, too. So yeah, I think that's it for those prompts. Let's go on to the program and culture prompt. So again, here, you got your weak prompt, which is just not going to get you far at all. And then you've got your strong prompt, which is very similar to the first one. It's acting as an MBA expert. You want it to deeply research, and you're giving your list. You want to identify specific classes, professors, research centers, initiatives, career resources, student clubs. And then, like you're saying, you might get overwhelmed by that, but when you're giving it lists like this, it also gives you lists back. And I think for both Claude and GPT and Perplexity, I think all three just naturally gave me tables with this, and they organized it the way I asked it to be organized. So I had a table for like comparing professors, and I had a table for why this candidate fits and what they can gain and what they can contribute, and for further information for links. So it will help you organize, especially if you put a very organized prompt. You kind of like lead by example. It's kind of like dealing with a teenager. So not that they're really great at following instructions sometimes, but you just kind of want to give it some idea of how you want things done by starting off with a good, strong prompt. And then, of course, ask it to include live links and share insights. And also at the end, I often put like, don't give me generic responses. I don't want to hear the school's prestigious, good for leadership. So it's important to put a sentence in there about what you don't want. Is just as important as all the things you do want, because it does like to go to safety, to something that it knows it can say and cannot be refuted in any way. Wharton is great for finance. No one's going to argue that, but it's not really helpful to us. So you can tell it to kind of leave that stuff by the wayside and concentrate on what's important to you. And again, we have our goal statement at the end. Okay, and then let's see. I have a question here from Nav. Have you ever asked AI to help you build effective, strong prompts for this purpose? Yes, exactly. That's excellent. Nav, at the end, we'll have that. That's one of my pro tips. We'll get to it now. Of like, yeah, if you're not getting what you want, then ask it. And I've done that. Like I wrote my prompts, and then I gave my prompts to all of my AIs, and I asked it, can I improve this in any way? And then I fed each other's AI prompts into the other AI with a sample school to see how they did with the prompts. So yeah, AI is good at writing its own prompts. If you tell it your goal and you tell it what issues you've been having. Maybe they're personal issues if you can't find certain information, or maybe it's an issue with AI that it's not giving you what you want. Just be specific in describing that, and it will come back with some really good suggestions for you. And then if you feed it back the prompt and still not doing what you want, you can call it on it. You can say, you wrote this prompt, you told me this would solve the problem, and it's not solving the problem. Try again. Now, don't do that forever, because sometimes it doesn't go anywhere, but most often it does. Most often you will get something that is very results oriented and will help you quite a lot. And you're right, it can help you ask the right questions. And it's great for helping you ask the right questions too, just personally about why you want to be in this school or at this school or taking this program. So you can use it to kind of have a sounding board that's not a family or a family member or a friend. Those people are all great and you should definitely use them. But sometimes it's kind of nice to get outside of your inner circle for a fresh perspective on your career and where you've been, your education, where you want to go. And AI can be really good for that too. So yeah, a little bit off track, sorry, but I think it's a good use for it as well. So yeah, thank you, Nav. Cool. So let's go on to our responses here. So now we have Michael, who is a financial analyst at an investment bank. And after the week prompt, you can see here, it did better in my analysis of this. Like, now we're looking, sorry, I didn't go over that. Now we're looking for the program and culture, so it did better than the first prompt, in my opinion, with this. It's giving us something about the program and culture. It gave 16 links without being asked, so not bad. But as we look here at the close-up of some of the data it sent back to us, the core curriculum, it's linking it well with the candidate. This is what he needs, but it's not saying why this is important to him specifically, what in his career will be enhanced by going to this class. So it is specific to him, but in my opinion, it's not enough actionable. Like, it's not giving him anything to go on. Like, if he wants to reach out and contact someone, it's not saying like what he can contribute to this class, what he can gain from this class, or whatever aspect of the community we're talking about. So let's go on and look at the strong prompt result. So here we have this full page of information, another full page of information from the strong prompt, and 3 tables. And we're going to look at a table next, because I just think, like, for the questions about getting overwhelmed, for me, I love tables, because of course you need more information that won't fit in a table, but it gives me a really quick, easy way to check in. Maybe it's my age, but sometimes, you get going, you get processing, and you're like, now, where did I find the information? What, and then you go back, you look at the table, and it kind of clicks you in, and then you can have your links in there to go and do your deeper dive. I see a question here from Dominique. Do you use paid versions of AI for the more enhanced capabilities? I do. I pay for GPT also because I get Sora and I like the image generation. It's a fun hobby of mine. And Perplexity comes with another subscription. I kind of got that one for free. And Claude, I was paying for Claude. I'm not sure if I am anymore or not, honestly, because whatever I've been using for, I haven't hit any restrictions. So sorry, I don't know the last one. But yeah, I think normally for most people, you can pay for one version and then probably use free versions of the other platforms, because sometimes, most of the free versions are great. They just might limit how much they're going to give you, how much deep research they'll do in a single given day. So you can also, don't sit down and try to do, if you're using the free platforms, 5 hours of research on Friday night, because they might limit you. But, if you put half an hour on Tuesday, an hour on Wednesday, then usually you can get a lot of the information you need from the free platforms. But I do like using the one paid. So I know there's one place, I do the 2 or 3 paid, but I think with you guys, one paid is good. And then a couple backups to use in free. And the enhanced capabilities, some of the deep research, but they keep seeming to keep releasing more and more on the free platforms to get you hooked. So yeah, but the enhanced capabilities are good. Good question. Thank you. Okay, so let's look at the table now. So here you can see it's really, in my opinion, well organized. It's just great that you have all the information in one spot and you can compare and contrast for yourselves. And so here, looking at the class and the professor, and they're looking at why this is good for this candidate, gives you a reason. It says specifically what this candidate will gain from this. So it's not just like, oh yes, you should take venture capital and entrepreneurial management. It shows, given this candidate's past experiences, then what hopefully he will get from the class, and then what he can contribute to the class, which is often overlooked by a lot of people. It's very important to know what you can contribute to the program, because you all come in with a lot of great life experience, and you're going to learn from each other quite a lot in these programs, not just from professors. So yeah, I like this kind of feedback that you can get. Yeah, so I think that's it for that slide. And let's go on then. 1 second, please. To our networking weak and strong prompts. So again, we have the weak prompt, which is just basically like, tell me who to contact and know why or how or anything about that. And then we have the stronger prompt, which is a lot more of the exactly what you want from it. And that can just be so much more helpful, like we've been saying all along. And 1 second, I'm sorry, I'm having a little issue with my presentation there. Okay, cool. So yeah, so basically the strong prompt is very similar to the others, but now instead of asking for specific professors and classes, we're asking for specific clubs, for groups, for certain kinds of alumni, with all of our links, with checking the information, with keeping it in line. And I have tried multiple times in multiple AIs to tell it always use this. You know, for instance, never use M dashes. I hate M dashes. The GPT is so addicted to them. And I've told it so many times to stop using M dashes, and it does for a week, and then they come back again. So even though it seems repetitive in these prompts to repeat, I know, Mary's saying it loves M dashes, and you just can't argue with it. It won't get rid of them. Even if it seems repetitive to you, it really, in my experience right now, this might change in a month, it might change in 6 months, a year, I don't know. But right now, even in the same thread, even in the same chat or session, I find it very helpful to keep repeating what you want and delineating number by number exactly what is important to you and exactly what you expect from it and what actionable results you want at the end. It's also great, like I said, for organizational. And let's see what our results are for our week prompt. Okay, so here we have, it's pretty generic. I mean, honestly, to me, this just looks like a landing page of contact information for Kellogg. This is Priya. She's a marketing manager at a global consumer products company, and Kellogg was one of her top school choices. And so I don't know, I'm really not getting much from this, and like why in particular I should contact these people, or what I can do for them, or they can do for me, or how it's going to help with my networking much. So yeah, I think we can skip that and go on to the strong prompt response. So here you can see, now this was really one of the best things I found for the networking. For me personally, I am not a great networker. I am shy, and like I'm great with this, with people that I feel I can help, but if I'm asking for help, I don't like it. So for me, it's great to have something in this field that it can push you, and it can be really specific. Because it can tell you exactly what clubs, and it can give you an idea of how you're finding common ground with a person, because they did this and you did that, and that can bring you together and give you a good starting point to contact them and talk about that. Because, you know, people want to share their experiences. They love their programs, and they want to show you how their program can be great for you. So yeah, it's a really good stepping off point for a lot of this. And so here we had, in addition to this page, there's 4 more pages of information and a nice summary table. So there's a lot of networking information. This page is on the official school networking events. And then for each additional page, there was the same amount of information or more for student clubs and affinity groups, for notable alumni and students, for faculty, and they had an actionable networking plan where it set out, you know, do this on day 1, day 2, day 3, and exactly, it didn't write anything for you. It was suggesting exactly how you could find common ground with some of these people, and a good time and a good way to reach out. Obviously, when you actually reach out, I strongly, strongly advise you not to use AI to write your outreach. Write your own outreach. Make it personal. Make it authentic. It should come from you. If you're stuck, if you write your outreach and you're like, oh, I feel like I'm forgetting something, or I feel like this part's a little awkward, or, you know, you can ask it for help, you know, of course, and just be very specific. Don't let it rewrite the whole thing for you. Ask, you know, just a little bit of like, if you could do this or you could do that, then it can help a lot with that stuff. And thank you. Yeah, I can send you a copy of the strong prompts 100%. Thanks for putting that in the chat, Jess. And this had 15 links, so lots of links for people to contact. And this was just, this prompt, just to be clear, it was just focusing on the school. It was not focusing on anywhere else to dig in, like LinkedIn or any other networking site. So this was just focused on the school itself and working through that website. So already having 15 links there is a lot for networking. And Shale was talking at the beginning about how often you have to send quite a few contacts to get the response you need and the support you need. So it's great to start with a good base of people you can work with. Okay, so let's go and look at our best practice recommendations here. So yeah, even before you get to the AI point, it's really important to look at who you are. And I mean, if you wanted to use AI for a deep dive and a self-reflection, to have it ask you questions and to help you really look at who you are and where you want to go, that's great. But by the time we get to the school research part, you really want to have a very good, clear understanding of kind of your mission statement and how you're going to make that mission statement into reality. And you don't want to be pushed around by AI or by schools. Sometimes you read a school and you're like, well, everyone loves that name and it's a famous name. And so maybe I'll kind of turn myself a little bit to look like material for that program. And that's not what you want. You want to say truly, authentically yourself, and then find the school that you're going to fit each other, that it's not a one-way, street in the relationship, that you really are meant to be together in that educational sense. So yeah, really know yourself before you start deep diving into the school research, and that will give you a very clear way. And it also helps with that overwhelming side that you were saying. You can kind of like fish out a lot of that when you can look at your mission statement and you have your 50-word mission statement and you're like, nope, doesn't serve it. Nope, doesn't serve it. Or doesn't serve it, but that's still interesting. Maybe I should think about that. So that can help you stay focused and not get too overwhelmed with everything. Feed it all the relevant information you can. Like I said, it's really important to give it as much data as you can that's not confidential, and challenge it. It will say things that you're like, no, that doesn't make any sense to me. So ask it why it gave you that information, why it's suggesting this for you. And it will often come out with a pretty reasonable response. And if it doesn't, I don't know if it'll apologize, but it will sometimes say like, oh, I must have gotten the wrong idea or I got carried away. So it's good to challenge it and get more information that way. Just don't think what it says is necessarily right or correct for you. Verify everything, like we said, check all your links, really, really be good about that. And you really have to make sure that you read the school materials yourself. AI is giving this amazing starting point, right? And even though you give AI all this information about you, so it knows you as much as a robot can know you, it doesn't know what pictures are going to sing to your soul, like seeing this certain tree or seeing this certain kind of architecture or the way the community is out on that campus. It doesn't know what phrase is going to like hit something in your head of like, God, I remember my grandfather saying that, so it can't find all those little beautiful pieces of data that when you go to that link and you read everything on that page and then you follow the links from that page to another page and then you contact that club president on LinkedIn and you talk to that person, you read their profile and you maybe they have a startup and you look at their startup page. And as you're going through all these levels of research, there's these little things that it cannot quantify for you. And that's where you get to keep taking the lead, because as you're doing this research, that's really what's sinking into your heart of hearts of like why this program is a fit or not. Like, of course, you need to check all the big boxes. You have to check that's going to give you what you need professionally and academically. But I mean, let's be honest, the M7 is the M7 and the other remaining top 20, more or less, they're going to give you a great education, but you need something that really fits with you too. So please don't just read summaries. Go in there and do the work yourself and really get a feel for the program. It's just really important. Do the deep dive. And just like we said earlier, it'll never be done. And it will also might tell you you're perfect. You might give it something, say, hey, I've decided this. What do you think? And it might just come back with, oh yeah, great decision. So if it does, and if you want a challenge, you can ask it to challenge you, like, okay, are you sure? Did I miss anything? And it's a great check, even if you're already in the school research, even if you're already deep dived and you've picked, let's say, your top 3 schools and you've done your research, feed your document into AI and ask it, what did I miss? Is there anything I could improve upon? This is my list of networking. Is there something that I'm missing or I could do better? So even if you've done it all without AI, it's not a bad touchstone to check on your work and make sure you're not missing something. So yeah, that's kind of the basic overall there. And of course, stay informed about each school's AI policies and just keep checking because they are changing quickly. And even within administrations, it's not like, Columbia posts their AI policy, parameters and that everyone in the administration agrees. AdCom is AdCom. Like all of us, they have their own opinions and people will gain or lose influence and policies will change. So just stay on top of it. Of course, the policies are for every year, but, stay on top of it. So yeah, I think that's it for here. The quick pro tip. So we already talked about one of making sure if you don't get what you need from AI, that you go in and that you get the help you need from AI to rewrite your prompt or improve your prompt, or even if you want to try letting it do the prompt from scratch. When I started using this, it wasn't great at making prompts. So I wrote a lot myself and I'm improving those as we go along. So maybe now it is much better at prompts. So, you can even just go in and say, write me a great prompt for this, and it'll come up with something decent. And again, it's great that it keeps your threads, it keeps your sessions in AI, but I would strongly recommend either copying and pasting into whatever document you feel, or some export to PDF, some to Docs, some to Excel, but export some backup just in case. And sometimes you might want to reorganize depending on how your mind works and what you need to see to keep things relevant, keep things fresh, and keep you on track and focused. And it also can be helpful because the overwhelming thing when you're scrolling or searching, I don't know how many, hours and hours and hours you've been dealing with this AI. Sometimes it's nice to break it into a few different docs in your folder so that right exactly where to go to get the information about clubs. And then you have a different folder for information about professors and a different folder for information about experiential learning. So for me personally, that's what works best. But yeah, do you, but make sure you keep a good external record from AI. Cool. So I've been answering some questions along the way, but I don't know if anyone has any more questions out there right now. And I know I was speaking very quickly, so I hope I haven't missed any of my major points. I'm excited about the topic. I'm excited about, helping you guys and having some fun on here. So sometimes I get a little carried away. So let's see. I'm looking to see anyone have anything you want to write in the chat, or you can unmic, you can raise your hand. And also, like Shale offered a really good tip earlier about the timing of networking and reaching out to people is very important, depending on whether they're incoming students or whether they're year two. So also, if any of you have anything you want to share with other people that could help them as candidates, go for it, because you obviously have a lot of experience and insights to offer to each other, and it can be fun and helpful to have that support. So feel free to unmic and speak up or write something in the chat. Trying to think if there's anything else we want to cover. I have a different question, if that is okay. I want to know your thoughts on the MIT study on the use of AI. That's actually a really good question, and I feel like we need another 10 minutes for looking at more than just MIT. And there's been a few. I don't know if we're talking. Can you give me do you remember the title of the study you're talking about? Because I recently read the New York Times article about the MIT study by the AI professor. She's been working with artificial intelligence for about 20 years. She's publishing a book in a month, but I forget the name of the article. I'm really bad at that. So anyway, please, if you'd like to talk about this, write me directly, Dominique, because yeah, it's been some great stuff surfacing, both great and scary. Another MIT study is not about this, but about personal relationships with AI. I don't know if that's the one you're referring to, where it was about people using the chatbots for love and emotional support and things like that. And it was a very interesting study. But anyway, back to MBA and deep school research. And do you have any big sticking points? Is there anything that you need more specific advice for about using AI in the MBA experience? Or is there anything just generally in school research? Because school research obviously is extremely important. Also, I do have a school research doc separate from AI, completely separate from AI, that kind of gives you a structure, if you'd like a template for how to deep dive into each of the school programs you're looking at. So feel free to message me again on Leland. My link is there if you would like that as well. And Jesse just put that in for me, so thanks so much. Okay, cool. So it looks like no more questions right now. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you, Dominique. I appreciate that. And Shale, people not leveraging AI, will they be left behind? Yeah, Shale, you always have great questions, and I love that you're so proactive. I really appreciate it. I don't think so yet. I mean, and it depends on the person and how hardworking they are. Obviously, there's a lot of shortcuts that AI can save you time. So if you're willing to invest a little bit more time, I think you will not be left behind at this point. So anyone that wants to go old school on their applications, and please, keep me in mind, like I've been doing the AI sessions here, but I've been doing consulting for years pre-AI. So I did it old school. I can do it new school, and anywhere in between that people are comfortable with. And I think too, no matter who you're working with, whether it be me or someone else, another professional or yourself, everyone has a different comfort level with this. So find what works for you. Be clear and honest with who you're working with about what you're comfortable with and what you want, and find a way to work together in that way. And let's see. So yeah, I think that answers hopefully Shale's question. You won't be left behind, but I think just generally in work, it's getting more and more necessary. So I think it's a pretty good skill to learn, I have to say. As we do these prompts, do you recommend we save these prompts and answers? Yeah, I do. I have a separate file, even for my candidates for today. I have a file for each Priya and Michael, different files with the prompts and the answers from the 3 AIs I used for each. And then I put 3 answers into AIs and ask them to condense and get rid of the extraneous information. So yeah, I definitely think you should save the prompts and answers. And would you suggest we use the same method to prepare for the interviews? That's a great question, Mary. There's a lot of overlap for the interviews, like asking it to ask you questions and doing great research into the kind of questions the school's been asking about what it's looking for. But there's some very specific ways to use AI for interviews too. So maybe Jess can put the link in there if he doesn't mind, to my next event, which is looking at AI and interviews. And you'll see some overlap, but there's a lot of fresh ways to use AI for interviews that we're not covering today. And Tammy, I have been using AI to practice GMAT questions. I'm not sure how great the quality of the questions are, though. Would you recommend using AI to study for the GMAT? That's not my area of expertise. I'm sorry, Tammy. I'm not a GMAT person. So yeah, I can't answer that one. Sorry. I can only tell you I would be skeptical of that, but ask someone who's good at GMAT prep, and they will give you a much more solid answer than that. And Mary, do you work with students who are not typical MBA applicants? Yes. I don't know if it happened. I've always been a little bit of a black dog, and I don't know if that's the kind of people I attract. But I've worked with people that are well over the normal work experience years and got them in top programs. I worked with a student who could not get any GMAT or GRE. She's at Cornell now. I've worked with people who have had issues with not feeling like they can really, like they're maybe not from finance, maybe they're from like a softer skill set, and they have trouble quantifying, what achievements they've made. So I've worked with people in government. That's kind of that are trying to transition into a public consulting, private consulting area. So yeah, I've worked with a lot of people from different backgrounds and helped them achieve their goals. Thank you for the question, Mary. It's very fun and very exciting, a little nerve-wracking, but yeah, 100%. And M, could you share your thoughts on having AI proofread your essays? We're getting up against it now. If you guys don't mind spending 2 more minutes, I'll do a quick 2 answers and then we'll finish up. You can have AI proofread your essays, but again, have a really good prompt. You don't want it to change your writing. You don't want it to change your words. You want it to give you critical feedback and to ask you questions to make your essays better. Don't let it do the writing for you. And, message me, Anna, and I'm more than happy to talk about this more at length. I'm sorry, we're just kind of running out of time here. And GMAT questions. Okay. I'll book an intro call. Thanks, Mary. That's fantastic. Glad to hear it. I will be very happy to meet you. Okay, so let's look at I think now we're just going to do, message me, as I've been saying, to get any information from today for a discount on my package, for the all-inclusive MBA package. And again, it's not just AI. I do everything from soup to nuts, from the beginning of the research to getting into your dream school, everything along the way. And if you can't tell from this, I am really super invested in my clients, and I'm there when you need me. And I limit myself to usually 5 clients per round because I really do invest heavily in each person. So let's look at a review, if you wouldn't mind. If this has been helpful for you, reviews are really, really helpful for me. So if you could hit the 5 stars and give me 1 or 2 sentences about what you found helpful about this, so people in the future can decide what event is for them and hopefully gain something for it, that would be really awesome. So thank you in advance. And for all the people in the past who give me reviews, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's really, really so nice of you. I appreciate the effort you've made. Okay, so for a giveaway, for people who've won previously from myself or my husband for a free hour of consulting, please don't enter this one. We'd like to see some fresh faces win. So if you could put a number, I'm writing my number down here on a piece of paper, put a number in the chat if you would like to enter for a free hour of consulting. And the first person to put the correct number will get one free hour session of your choosing of consulting, anything you would like, interview prep, essays. So just put a number between 1 and 10 in the chat window, and we'll see what we've got. 1, let's see, who is 1? Anna W. Okay, so you can see my proof here. Anna W got the 1. So Anna, please message me just like in the same link that I'm sending for everything else, and just say you won, and we'll figure out a code I can send you so that you can get that free hour of consulting. And yeah, it would be awesome if you guys can just have a quick goodbye. And thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much for your questions. I really appreciate it. Message me and any additional questions you have. I don't mind answering them. I don't know if we got to everything at the end there, but I really appreciate your effort and your thoughtfulness today. It means a lot to me. And so, yeah, have a fantastic, thank you, Mary. Thank you, Shayla. And have a fantastic rest of the evening or morning, depending on where you are in the world, and get in touch. I would love to work together. Have a fantastic night. Thank you, guys.